Welcome, everyone, to the Over Under Movies podcast, the show where we take a popular figure or franchise in the world of filmmaking and ask the simple question, are they overrated or are they underrated? My name's Jason Gong. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host. He is the something in this movie to my something. We're a good team, unlike anyone in this movie, is Mr. DeAngelis.
Hey, what's up?
What's
We're
up?
talking about a good one today.
Yeah, this is one. I mean, this is going to be fun. We don't often get to talk about movies that are rated so lowly in every metric, but we've got one today.
What do we?
And it's because both of us have independently, we live together, but we have a TV upstairs and a TV downstairs, and we've both been playing games from the same franchise on those televisions. Dylan, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about Assassin's Creed, which, yeah, this is the first pod in a while, I think, that we've had to, off the jump, explain why we're even talking about the movie. What series of decisions in our lives led us down this path?
I know what. So I'm learning Spanish, and I was looking at a list of games that have the best Spanish dubs, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag is on there. And I've had that game for a long time, but I never really played it much because I don't like it that much. So I did jump into it, and now I'm almost done the game. Dylan, how about you? Why did you start playing an Assassin's Creed game?
I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Shadows just came out, which is set in feudal Japan, and I was looking at lists of old Assassin's Creed titles to see what are the good ones, because there's a bunch of them, and Odyssey had consistently gotten good reviews, and it hadn't come out that long ago, so the graphics were still really good. Apparently it was a long game, which I was excited for. I like playing long games, and I got into it, and it's okay. I kind of beat it faster than I thought I was gonna beat it.
Yeah.
So now I'm stuck. Do I want to play another one of them? I think I'm gonna lay off Assassin's Creed for a little bit here. The movie may have contributed to that a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll jump right into that. So we were talking about the 2016 film Assassin's Creed, ostensibly an adaptation of these games, but it is its own original story set in the Assassin's Creed universe. It stars Michael Fassbender as Assassin Creed. It's
the brother of Apollo Creed.
It's directed by Justin Kurzel. He's directed a lot of other stuff, but I haven't seen any of these. He did a film called Snowtown, Macbeth, and most recently, The Order. Yeah, so 2016, Assassin's Creed, very, very popular video game franchise. These games, there's a ton of them, and every time they come out, they're usually highly reviewed, and people run to the stores to buy them. The movie comes out in 2016 because that's what you do when you have a popular franchise. You make a movie out of it and see if you can do something with it. At this point, I don't know, the series only had 7 or 8 games maybe. Now it has many more games.
A lot of the games were from that original chunk of games where it was set in the Assassins versus Templar times.
Yeah.
And since then, they have done a lot of historical bouncing around with different times, different locations.
Yeah, they originally Assassin's Creed was in the mid 1200s to the late 1800s. I don't know, but it was that era. But then the game Dylan just played, they jumped all the way back to ancient Greece, which is way longer ago.
Now set in feudal Japan. They have a game in ancient Greece. They have a game in ancient Egypt. They have a game that is a Viking game set in the old Nordic region. So it's all over the place.
So that's the cool thing about these games, is that they're these historical fiction games where you're what if during this period in history, there's 2 secret orders that are constantly battling, and you get to play a guy who has knives up his sleeves and can do parkour. It's a good formula.
Yeah, what if there was assassins? Assassins in general are cool. It's cool to see these shady figures that are looming in the shadows.
Yeah.
And then they pop out and they kill you with hidden blades.
Yeah, and they wear hoodies.
And then run back to the shadows.
It is cool. But that's, yeah.
It's actually one of the biggest issues. We could just get right into this. This movie did not review well at all. It's been lost to time, no pun intended. It's just a very poor adaptation of what is generally considered a fairly good game franchise.
Yeah.
And part of it is because a lot of the story of this movie has nothing to do with like the historical aspect of the assassins.
Right. So when we talk about these games and we say they're set in this time period, we mean that you spend most of the time as an assassin in ancient Greece or in the Caribbeans in the 1800s. This every single game there is a period that's set in the present because the main character is some guy in the present in every game, and then he has to connect to the Animus, which lets him relive his ancestors' memories, which are stored in his DNA. That's the premise of the world of Assassin's Creed. There's two factions that are always fighting, and in the present they're still fighting, and the bad guys connect you to the Animus so that you can relive the older assassins, and that's how you can travel back in time to these different places.
Everything about the Animus is stupid. They should not have based the entire movie basically around the Animus.
And it's stupid in the games
People
too.
that play the games don't like the Animus either. Like I said, I just played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a game that you can spend like 100 to 200 hours playing, and the Animus stuff is like 3 cutscenes.
Yep. It's the same in Black Flag, which came out way longer ago. This movie kind of flips that. I would say it's like 60 to 70% in the present, doing stuff centered around the Animus, and then only 30 to 40% in the past, which is the part you want to see.
And the stuff that's in the past is like, I mean, it's clearly a better movie. I don't know if it's like a much better movie, but we see so little of it. It's only action set pieces, and then they're immediately out of it.
Yeah, and I would go as far as to say that they're not good action set pieces, but we'll get to that when we talk about the craft and performances of this movie. Dylan, let's jump right into our new 5-star rating system. This is how we're going to get the objective rating for this movie, is that we have 5 areas of what a film is, and each of those areas can earn a star from us based on how well they perform, and we'll be discussing that. So the first area that we can assign a star in is cultural impact.
This movie's cultural impact is nothing.
So
Absolutely nothing.
this movie has no sequels, prequels, or spin-offs. The video game franchise does have additional filmed and animated properties that are spin-offs of the video games, but this
Are you aware of this
has
not
nothing.
having any sort of tie-ins with the games at all?
Yes, in a 2018 mobile game, the main character from the past segment in this film meets up with another assassin from a different game. So as far as the continuity of the video games and the movie go, this movie is still canon. But that's it. Iconic characters and moments? Okay, none. Okay, well, they do have the game signature leap of faith, which is when you climb all the way up on top of a steeple and then you jump into a haystack.
Yeah. This movie does have a leap of faith, but you never see him land in the haystack.
Yeah, he doesn't land in the haystack.
Hard cuts.
There is a section about this on Wikipedia. The film features the game's signature leap of faith jump performed by Fassbender's stunt double, Damian Walters, rather than a digital double, as the production team wanted to make many of the elements in the film feel as real as possible without the use of visual effects. The 125-foot freefall was described as one of the highest freefalls performed by a stuntman in almost 35 years. So they did what should be a historic stunt, and in the movie it looks like nothing.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it for real, show the impact.
Yeah,
Because those free jumps are gonna have a crash pad at the bottom.
yeah.
Basically a big like inflatable that you land in to cushion your fall. You could just blue screen that thing and turn it into a haystack.
Turn it into a haystack, baby. Yeah, that free fall in the movie, they do a bunch of cuts. They completely like cut all the tension of it, and it just doesn't work effectively. I feel really bad for Damian Walters because he had to jump off a 125-foot thing.
Yeah, I understand. Like you look at a Mission Impossible movie and those ridiculous stunts that Tom Cruise is doing in camera.
Yeah,
And a huge part of what makes those scenes so visceral is that there's a lack of cutting because they're doing it actually. they're just gonna do it in camera.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to maybe CGI out some like safety harnesses or something like that, or a wire.
But you can feel the danger. You can feel the adrenaline.
Well, like, yeah, you can see the wind in his face.
Yeah.
And it feels real because it is real. And the more like CGI that you add over it, and the more like added cuts and unnecessary like camera pans, it's gonna lose weight with the stunt. And that's exactly what happens there, which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. So that was the only signature moment of this film, I would say. Dylan, do you want to assign cultural impact 1 full star, a half a star, or 0 stars?
I think we're gonna go with 0 stars, Jason.
Dylan, I'm right there with you. 0 stars for this. Let's move on to the second potential star for this movie. It's called Craft and Performances. So we're going to talk about, how good this movie looks on a technical level and the performances from all of our main actors.
I think it's the one like part where it's a little interesting to talk about because pretty stacked cast.
Stacked cast for sure. So we have our lead is Michael Fassbender, then Marion Cotillard is in this, Brendan Gleeson, Jeremy Irons. Those are, I would say, the main characters. And then, Michael K. Williams is in this, but he doesn't get that much to do. This is Fassbender, almost at what I would consider to be like the height of Fassbender's career. He's been Magneto for a good number of years at this point. And then he's gotten to be Steve Jobs. He's gotten to do some more independent stuff like Frank, where he wears that head the whole time. So he's had a really cool, eclectic career with a good measure of mainstream franchise stuff thrown in. He was also in 300, which is a better period piece movie. We should have an episode out about that already. You should check it out.
Check it out.
So yeah, I did not like his performance in this. I thought it was nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I just don't think he's given a lot to work with here. They set him up as a character that you don't really know what is going on with him. You see him first as a kid where he walks in on his dad having just killed his mom, and his dad's wearing like assassin garb. And then it's a flash forward to present day where Fassbender's like a 40-year-old man and he's on death row.
Mm-hmm.
And he's about to get a lethal injection, and there's no setup of like why he's about to get lethal injected.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ostensibly dies, and then he wakes up in the care of Marion Cotillard and the Templar people. And as an audience member, you're just as confused as he is. The film gives you nothing to like latch onto, and because of that, there's just like no weight to any of it. You don't feel engaged. And my hope, at least when I was watching the film, is that once we got to the Animus, then we would get back in time, and then we could like spend a chunk of the movie there, and like that's where the actual plot of the film is, and then you just had to like deal with all of the setup that goes along with that, because I mean it's kind of what you have to deal with when you're playing the games as well.
Mm-hmm.
You got to deal with the Animus shit, and then you get to go back to the fun historical assassin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie is just so paced awkwardly that I just don't think Fassbender gets to flex his muscles there. Also, he's very white, and he's very clear. He's clearly playing like I don't know, like a Spanish assassin or something like that.
Yeah,
and I feel like they could have gone with an actor of maybe like a different ethnicity would have made sense.
Yeah, because he does. I guess they give him a tan or something, but he is a different shade in those flashback historical sequences than he is in the present day part of the movie. It's weird.
I'm guessing Michael Fassbender speaks Spanish in real life, and that might be part of the reason why.
Yeah, he speaks like 8 languages.
Yeah, he speaks German just in his entire scene that he's in Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah, I mean that's an awesome movie, and that's a great performance. This movie really frustrates me. So I would agree that Fassbender's not given a lot to work with. His whole like driving force is that like he's mourning his mother and he hates his father, but like also he's like a 40-year-old man, and I think that those issues obviously in real life will affect you even when you're 40 years old, but there's something about it on screen that doesn't really translate. I think they should have gone with a younger actor for this. Just seeing like this 40-year-old dude get sad about his childhood in a movie about assassinations just wasn't that cool. I would say Marion Cotillard is giving a strong performance. She's able to like bring tears to her eyes when she wants to be sad and then cry on command. Like she's doing all the acting tricks to like she's acting like there's good emotional things happening in this film.
And her character is the most conflicted of any character in the
Right.
film because she's clearly there for the research, and I think she has Michael Fassbender's best interest at heart, but she's torn between that and her dad, who's in charge of everything, and her dad is going after the MacGuffin, and he just wants to seek the power that comes along with it.
Yeah, her dad's played by Jeremy Irons. He's phoning it in here.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons, great villain performance, actor in general. But this is very much akin to his performance in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, where he's kind of hamming it up.
Yeah, but like not even. I don't know.
Yeah, you could almost argue that this movie should have been campier
It
and
definitely
been
should have
better.
been. Yes.
Because there's nothing worse than a movie that takes itself way too seriously.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of this cast and I'm trying to be like, okay, well, at least this person did something cool. But Brendan Gleeson's in it. He's a great actor. He doesn't really bring anything to this. He's only in it for like 2 scenes. Michael K. Williams is in this. He's trying to be like sort of like a guide, mentor figure to the main guy, but you don't really understand what his character is either. He's another descendant of an assassin that's just in this facility.
Yeah, all the other stuff with the other people in the facility with Michael Fassbender, it almost feels like there were rewrites or reshoots or something like that
Yeah, there were.
like reconfigured what happened in the movie, because there's like a big fight sequence at the end of the film where all of those people come together with him, and I could see a version of the film where those characters were built up over the course of the movie, and by the end you're invested in them like coming together and like overthrowing the facility, but you just don't feel that because the movie is not structured properly.
Yeah, I was reading that there were many, many deleted scenes of this movie, and a lot of them were about giving those other people at that facility more build up. There was an entire character who was deleted, who originally was like a plucky sidekick to the main guy, who she was a descendant of another assassin. Um, yeah, it seems like this movie did go through a lot of rewrites and changes. Even the ending was reshot after test audiences didn't like it. I think originally Michael Fassbender's character was supposed to be the only surviving assassin after the jailbreak and the Jeremy Irons assassination. Spoilers. But audiences, I guess, wanted a happier ending, so they let 2 other assassins live.
You got to set up for the sequel, man. Characters to bring back.
In terms of the technical aspects, this is what I would say is a bad action movie, and it's just not saved in any way by its action sequences, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, if you're making an Assassin's Creed game, it's the one thing you got to get right.
Yeah.
You got to have some cool fight scenes in there. You got to have assassins being assassins.
Yeah.
And we just do not get that. The only thing that ever comes close is the one scene where they're escaping the gallows and they're going to get set on fire, and they break out and they're like running through the streets and they're like parkouring around like buildings and stuff. That on paper is really cool. It's a really good idea, but the execution is just a mess. You have you have a very hard time following where characters are in relation to one another and what the progression is through the buildings, how they're escaping, because there's so many cuts. They're breaking the 180 rule everywhere. It's just not very well executed, and I don't know if that's also a result of reshoots or something like that, but it's the one thing you had to get right.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot to make a movie. I understand that, but I don't get how they can be like reviewing that footage and think that that's like any way acceptable for an Assassin's Creed film. When you're doing these video game adaptations, you at least like need to write down, okay, what is the number one thing that people that are fans of this franchise, that are fans of this game, what do they want to see? And so like when you're making a Minecraft movie, the one thing that they want to see is the random shit that they know from Minecraft, right?
Yes, whatever chicken jockey is, that was what they wanted, I guess.
Minecraft fans are eating up a movie that's just pure nostalgia callback.
It's all Easter eggs.
You got to know your audience. And the audience for Assassin's Creed games are people that like action.
Yeah. And the action in this, like Dylan said, messy, confusing, just not that cool in general. You know, we already talked about 300, but you could follow the action in that. And the thing about 300 is that these are all dudes that look exactly the same. And when they have their helmets on, they're almost indiscernible from each other. But because the action shot so well, you know who each person is that you're following each time. And it really works. In this one, I couldn't tell the good guys from the bad guys, and they had completely different costumes. Like, there's so many moments that should be cool that just aren't. When you watch parkour videos on YouTube, what makes them so good is like, I mean, not so good, but you know, they have one GoPro on their head and one guy's following another guy, and it's just one uninterrupted shot of people jumping across rooftops. And that's kind of cool.
What you need is wides.
Yeah.
You need as many wides as possible.
For parkour. Yeah.
And then, maybe some POV shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, POV shots would have been good. But yeah, it's at the same time, it's easy to criticize. This is clearly just a project that just didn't come together for one reason or another. But I think you have to like plan better when you're planning elaborate action sequences. You can't save that in post, no matter what people tell you.
Anyway,
cool.
Anyway, for cast and crew, I think we're also going to give 0 stars for this one.
Yeah.
That's what we're landing on.
I think so. So, okay, we get to get a little bit of a break from talking about this movie.
Oh, let's go.
Play the game Guess That Film, Letterboxd edition. We've done this a couple times now. But right now we're still doing Letterboxd reviews. I'm going to describe a film based on the Letterboxd reviews. Dylan is going to guess that film.
Are we doing video game films here?
And this will be video game adaptations.
Nice.
All right, so Dylan, I'm going to read you 3 reviews. You can guess after each one, but by the third one, I need you to tell me the name of this movie.
Okay.
All right, this review comes from Andrew. Andrew gave this movie half a star and said, "This is, by the absolute loosest human understanding of the word, a movie."
Okay. So this could be a lot of video game adaptations.
All right. That was half a star. All right. Here's the second one. 5 stars. This is from Sydney. Peak CD-ROM aesthetics and a cornucopia of delights. Homemade-looking rubber samurai-inspired costumes floating in a cyber hellscape of lasers and black holes to alternate dimensions. The bad guys' souls are tiny dragons that escape from their skin when they die. Fucked up looking centaur and spider lady and robots, ? With predator dreads and giant enhanced cyborg arms. Feel like this should be watched on a Virtual Boy. A total nightmare. Heart emoji.
No. Is this one? Is this the 90s Mortal Kombat?
You're close.
Okay, give me the next one. It's some other fighting game. Okay.
I mean, it's basically... All right. This one says, more like Mortal Kombat Abomination, am I right? Ha, got him. Like, I almost gave this 1 star for how unintentionally hilarious it is.
So this would be Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
Yes. Good job, you got it.
This is a movie I've seen. But, yeah, another franchise that hasn't really nailed this adaptation. So the one that came out a few years ago was better.
I like that first one, the first Paul W.S. Anderson one. But yeah, people really hate Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I don't like that movie, but I think it's quite fun to watch.
That's the one person that gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, that was bold. All right, here's a 3-star review for another movie. This person's name is Cinephila. And they said, this was a lot of fun actually, but I think it's just so hilariously bad that a large portion of the climax revolves around the protagonist solving giant puzzles in order to open a series of doors, like, you know, a fucking video game.
Okay. Go to the next one.
Okay. This one comes from Alicia, and they gave this 3.5 stars and said, me, Seeing Alicia Vikander shoot arrows at men and beating them up. God, I wish that were me.
Oh, so this is topical because Alicia Vikander is married to Michael Fassbender. That's great. This is the Tomb Raider reboot.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the third?
The third one. This is from Fanya, who gave this 3 stars, and it says, corpse, lies beneath Lara Croft. Me, God, I wish that were me.
Yeah, amen, man, amen. I actually haven't seen that one, but I think it's Walton Goggins that's the villain in it.
I don't know.
I heard he's hamming it up, which is good on him.
I gave that movie 1 star or 1.5 stars. I should go back and edit that. I think I was just in a bad mood in the theaters that day.
Another Tomb Raider thing, I think, or they had one that was in development for a while.
All right, for this last movie, I don't know if I'm gonna stop at 3 reviews because I found a few reviews, but then there's like 3 reviews in a row in terms of its ranking of most voted that basically say the same thing. So I kind of want to read all 3 of those. But here's the first review. This is from Steph, who gave this 0.5 star, and the review just says, "Boats can't do that."
Okay.
And this has 250 likes on Letterboxd, this review that says boats can't do that.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to, here's a batch of reviews that all are basically saying the same thing. The first one from Luke gave this 2 stars and said, bruh, James came out as gay. Michaela gave this 3 stars and said, James came out in this movie, so I gave it an extra star. Foggle gave this 3 stars and quoted the film, which I guess this is James coming out. It says, Jesse, when you get involved with the opposite sex, it can only mean trouble. James, and that's the kind of trouble I stay out of.
Is this like Pokemon 2000 or something?
It is Pokemon 2000. You nailed it.
Let's fucking go.
All right, the last couple reviews I screenshotted says the T in LGBT stands for Team Rocket, and then the one that I screenshotted to give it away so that you would know which Pokemon movie it was, except somehow you got it just off the James being gay thing. But the last one is, it's good to see Articuno getting work.
Let's go. Shout out to Articuno.
All right.
What's the context of James coming out? I don't even remember that.
I don't know. I was just looking at random video game movies.
Oh my god. Not the gays, man.
Yeah. How did you know it was 2000?
It was just a shot in the dark.
There's
only 2 major Pokemon movies ever, and
well, yeah, in this coast or this country.
Yeah, there's Pokemon the movie, and I didn't think it was Pokemon the movie. So, and I know less about Pokemon 2000.
That makes sense.
A good pool, 3 for 3.
Yeah, good job. All right, now we got to get back to talking about
yeah, fun's over.
Back to work. All right, so the next segment that we can give a star to is the critics' consensus for this movie, Assassin's Creed. So did critics like this movie? Well, this movie has an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. Which means that only 18% of certified reviewers gave this a good review. And it has a 36 out of 100 on Metacritic. Notable comments here. I went to RogerEbert.com. The writer on that site, Simon Abrams, said, some guy time travels, learns kung fu, tries to destroy human free will because he's angsty, and then inevitably rebels against the church people who hire him. I say some guy because nothing really feels important in Assassin's Creed except everyone's vain attempts at making endless exposition be taken seriously.
No, it's good. Movies have to earn you being able to name their characters.
Yeah, can you name the character in this?
Absolutely not.
And I researched for this podcast. Like, clearly I researched. I'm pulling quotes from RogerEbert.com. I can't, his name's Cal or Calum or something, but I can't name his last name.
Yeah, if you're looking back on a movie and you just say, oh, it's Michael Fassbender, it means that they didn't do a good job at characterization.
Yeah, especially because I did watch this movie 1.5 times. Like, I should be able to pull the name if it was interesting. And then Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian said, I bet playing the game is much more exciting, but then getting Fassbender to slap a Code of Deluxe on the wall of his high-tech prison cell and monitoring the progress the progressive moisture loss would be more exciting. So a very convoluted way to say he'd rather watch paint drying. Critics did not like this movie.
Which is no surprise, but I do think the critics in general tend to be a little harder on video games.
Especially when you can like pull out a little bit of a clever quote or something. Yeah, video game. Well, it's hard to say because a lot of times video game movies are just not good.
Yeah, it's tricky because, I mean, it's the conundrum with all video game adaptations where do you try to make an interesting story that is like tangentially set in that universe that you can basically just slap the name on to, so you have that original you have the original property to fall back with, or do you try to do like the one-to-one adaptation of a story? And that's something that is much more available now more than ever because you have these video games that people call visual novels, more or less, because they're so loaded with cutscenes that are cinematic that you can just take their cutscenes and smush them together and make a movie out of it. But in this case, yeah, they just did a very poor job at adapting any of the interesting elements from this universe. And I'm in line with the critics on this one. It's tough. 18% is low. You're getting into some dark territory.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bad movie. It's not one I would recommend. But yeah, it's clearly, objectively, not enough critics like this for us to consider putting a star here in this segment. So that's another 0.
It's gonna be another 0. We're currently at 0 out of possible 3 stars.
Good. All right, maybe this next one will save it. The next section is audience reception. So we're going to talk about, did people go see this movie? Did they like it? Normal people? So this apparently has 2 stars on Letterboxd, and it made $240 million at the box office off a $125 million budget.
So it might have broken even.
It might have broken even. Probably not, because I suspect a lot of the box office was global, which is like the lowest profit, like net profit at the end for the studio. And then I think that the marketing is probably a little bit more than the typical movie because it's an expected franchise.
Yeah, 2 is higher than expected on Letterboxd. I could definitely see this being a film that like some people go to bat for in the abstract. Like I just don't think we're far enough out from when the movie came out for it to get any sort of like look a second time from people or any sort of like cult following. I think that this is reasonable enough though to give it like a half a star for the audience. It's close enough to 2.5 out of 5 stars. The box office was not horrific. It was fine. And the thing about a lot of these, like, bigger franchises, especially like with Ubisoft, like their whole thing is they need to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so just because it made some money.
Yeah, people turned out to see it, I think. Well, like, not a lot of people. This is considered a flop by some standard, but like people saw this movie, and then 2 stars means that some people like this movie. I'll just read the top like 3 reviews of the Letterboxd. This one says it gave it 2 stars, and it says, "You were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy bad video game movies, not join them. Bring balance to cinema, not leave it in darkness." So this review is just quoting a way better movie. Just the sickest, rawest movie, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Hey, that movie's in theaters right now, and I would almost recommend you stop listening to this podcast about Assassin's Creed and just go watch that movie instead.
It may not be in theaters by the time this podcast comes out.
Go rent Revenge of the Sith and stop listening to us talk about Assassin's Creed. This person gave this 1.5 stars, and this is true. We talked about this. Distinguishably lacked the only thing I remember from playing Assassin's Creed: hiding in haystacks. They don't even hide in haystacks in this movie, Dylan. This movie is so bad.
No, the earlier Assassin's Creed games especially are very stealth heavy, and that's nothing in this movie. Literally, the first sequence, they're kind of being stealthy, like walking through the crowd, and then they immediately make themselves known, and then half of them get killed.
Yeah.
They're terrible at their job.
All right, here's a more positive review, and this is the third highest rated review on Letterboxd for Assassin's Creed. It says, "Fuck, is this a good movie? Fuck." And then it says, "Gotta give it up for the Creed, though. What a Creed. Top 10 Creeds. And you gotta give it up for the apple. Need that apple to win a Nobel Peace Prize. P.S. Marion Cotillard 100% believes this movie is nonfiction and that the Knights Templar are after her even as we speak."
Incredible.
Uh,
That's a guy that he took a couple drugs, at least a couple, and watched Assassin's Creed.
so I don't, based on like the top reviews, the top rated reviews, this movie doesn't really have shooters, but enough people gave it like 3.5 stars for me to say this can have a half-star audience rating. Yep, let's move on. Host's personal rating. So this is basically, would Dylan and I recommend this movie? If we would, we can each contribute half a star to the host rating section of this process. So Dylan, are you going to give a half star to this movie?
It's interesting because there's a lot of movies out there.
Yeah.
And I think as a film fan, it's important to broaden your horizons and, explore everything that cinema has to offer, both good and bad.
No.
Oftentimes watching bad movies really helps you hone in on what is good about good movies. With that being said, absolutely not. Do not watch this movie.
Yeah, this is not one of those times. Like, we've watched a handful of movies that get that, like, so bad it's good. Like
movies, they're just bad. I mean, I don't mind watching movies that are considered bad as well. Especially if they have moments. If a movie is like bad, but it has maybe like one or two scenes that kind of pique my interest, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the time that I spent watching that film.
Yeah.
I'll never watch it again, but I won't feel like I wasted my time.
This one really does feel like a waste of time.
This film feels like work.
Yeah, I can't believe I watched it twice. So I started watching it because I was bored, and then I turned it off. And then like 3 weeks later, Dylan was like, "All right, we're going to do this for the podcast."
This is so boring that you couldn't even have it on in the background while you scrolled your phone.
Yeah, exactly. I put it on while I ate food before I started playing Black Flag again, and I was like, I gotta turn this off. I'm gonna eat in silence, which I never do. Yeah, so no star from either of us. That means that this movie gets half a star out of a potential 5 stars on our objective rating scale.
This is gonna be a tough one.
Dylan, do you think that at half a star this movie is overrated or underrated?
I'm gonna zag, and I'm not trolling here. It's not that bad. It is not a half a star out of 5 movie. It's not good. I think we've established that it's not good. We both gave it 1.5 stars, I believe, on our last Letterboxd review, which would indicate that we at least think that under this scoring system, it's a bit underrated. I once again need to reiterate that I would not recommend anybody watch this film, but I think a lot of the times with these adaptations that go poorly, there tends to be an overcorrection to the negative. Like when you see a new video game movies coming out and it's most of the time it's bad. And so a lot of the times people will try to push that as far down as they possibly can, even if it's not like horrendous. I think the Minecraft movie is probably a good example of that, where it's like a movie that's like average, but people are trying to push it like farther and farther down because it almost becomes like a meme if it has a really low Rotten Tomato score or something like that. And I think the Assassin's Creed movie it's the worst type of bad movie in that it's bad in a boring way. And a movie that is a half a star out of 5, it's kind of difficult to be bad in a boring way at that rating. That's not where the really, really bad movies sit, because most really, really bad movies at least have something that's like kind of interesting about them to watch.
Yeah.
From like a curiosity standpoint.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I would say it would be underrated in this regard. However, that does not tell the full story. You have to listen to the entirety of this pod and how we rated it for me to come to the conclusion that it's underrated.
Yeah, it's that is tough because I did give this movie 1.5 stars. I believe that most movies, even like some of the worst movies, are at least 1 star because people turned out and they put work into
It's
a
hard to make a
project.
movie.
Yeah, it's hard to make a movie. This movie got a lot of talent, um, and it just didn't come together, and that's fine. I think half stars should a half star out of 5 stars should be reserved for movies where people showed up and didn't want to put the work in, or people showed up and wanted to like blatantly offend all of your sensibilities, like Revenge of the Fallen. Um, and that's the only movie I've ever given half a star to in my life. So by the metrics that we've made up, this is better, I guess, than a half-star movie.
Reluctantly.
Like people, by the very principle of people came to set and tried to make a good movie, unlike Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen.
Revenge of the Fallen just catching strays at the nip here. The end of this plot is hilarious.
Because I walked into this, you heard me open the episode, a level of exhaustion, tiredness. I don't want to talk about this movie, blah blah blah. No, this movie, it's fine because the only time you should put that much negative energy into hating on a film is if it's directed by Michael Bay, making a sequel to one of his like best movies, and then just like completely phoning it in, not even finishing the script before starting production. Yeah, so by the very principle of the fact that this movie is not Revenge of the Fallen, I would say it's underrated.
Yeah. It's kind of a strange conclusion to come to here, but I think like with the way that our objective rating scale fell here, it really heavily weighted this movie down. I would agree that from watching it, it doesn't feel like they were trying to make a bad movie here.
No, they were trying to make a good movie.
They had some ideas that they were cooking.
There's lots of behind the scenes stories, which means that there was thought put into creative decisions.
Yeah, and inevitably there's always like some producer or, person behind the scenes that saw what was coming and tried to avoid it, and they were shut down, or they're like under NDA or something like that. They can never talk about it.
Yeah, so originally Sony was supposed to be the team that produced this movie. I forget who ended up doing it, but it wasn't Sony in the end because Ubisoft was made a deal with Sony, and Sony said, "Okay, we have to have creative control." And Ubisoft, the video game company, said, "No, we have to have creative control." And Sony was like, "No, this is going to cost too much money.
Like, listen,
we're a movie studio.
We actually make movies."
And yeah, so they were like, "No, no," and they went with another studio, and the video game team had all the creative control, and they made a bad movie.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Assassin's Creed, Dylan?
Yeah, don't watch it. Other than that, the games are okay.
Yeah, the games we also didn't care for that much.
The recent Assassin's Creeds are kind of long, and there are a lot of just ticking waypoints off of a map. Like you'll go and look at the map, and there's like a million things you can go do, and you go over to that base, and then you go over to that hidden chest, and then you go over to that thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of tedious, but there's like a rhythm to it if you're into those kind of games. It's all based on the Witcher 3 team. They had this like mantra of a player should not be walking forward more than like 30 seconds or something like that without running into something interesting or something to do. And Assassin's Creed took that to like the nth degree.
Yeah, I like compare The Witcher and Assassin's Creed to each other a lot because they're both like some of the biggest open world games. And The Witcher's just so cool, like comparatively. And the stuff that you have to do to tick off those boxes just feels more fleshed out in those games, and all the side quests really have weight, and your armor builds seem cooler. So yeah, if you're interested in the Assassin's Creed game, check them out for the historical fiction aspect. I think that part's really cool and it's unique. You don't get that in every video game. But I think there are stronger open world games you could play instead.
But yeah, this isn't the only bad video game adaptation that exists. It joins a whole host of others that just crashed and burned, and you just hope that they figure it out eventually here.
Well, Minecraft is going to make $1 billion, so
Yeah, it seems like the more cartoony ones tend to do well, like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Sonic does okay.
Well, the Sonic movie does well.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it is harder to do. I mean, remember when Halo had a TV show? That was crazy.
Also bad.
Yeah, that was nuts.
It's just the creative teams, they get weird with it. I understand. Like the Halo show, he like doesn't wear his helmet for like a lot of the series, and he wears his helmet for 100% of the series in the game. What are we doing?
No, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's this belief in Hollywood that, like, you have to have the superhero take their mask off sometimes because you are paying these actors to emote. But then, I don't know, you look at C-3PO, you should check out Star Wars. Now, that's a movie.
Shout out to Star Wars.
C-3PO is emoting all the time with his face, which doesn't move. You can keep your helmet on.
Anyway, that's it.
All right. We're done talking about Assassin's Creed, but if you want to listen to us talk about other movies, most of which are better, we do have one episode about Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen. You don't have to listen to that episode, but you can check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube. You know, you'd see us wearing our matching Eagles championship shirts. Go Birds. Follow both of us on Letterboxd. Follow us on TikTok and other social media platforms. Join our Discord so we can have fun conversations together. If you like listening to us, we'd like listening to you. And then you can join our Patreon. You can join at the free tier, get your name in the end credits of our episodes on YouTube. And then we have additional tiers which unlock additional prizes. But for myself and for Dylan, that's going to be it for this episode of the Over Under podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.